Hello, welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're going to be covering the MAGPUL MS1 QDM Sling. Slings seem like a pretty mundane subject, and to a certain extent they are, but they are necessary gear for your rifles. There was a time in the late 60s, 1970s, into the early 80s that the rule was you don't have a sling on your rifle. Keep your rifle in your hands at all time, ready to use. But there's a certain amount of impracticality to that. And that pretty much led in the 1980s to the application of the three-point sling. And while they had their time, their day is pretty much over. They were complicated affairs and pretty confusing to get on or off sometimes if they got tangled up. With the complications of the three-point sling and CQB becoming a more aggressive and used tactic, the single-point sling came in. And that's got some advantages, especially when you're doing transitions. However, if you're not properly dressed, it's also a great way to knock yourself in the nuts, and nobody enjoys that. Then came the adjustable two-point sling, and Viking Tactics really exploded that with their sling, and then a lot of people started to take their improvements on it, or at least their own versions of it. One of those is what we're reviewing today, the MS1 QDM Sling by MAGPUL. Let's take a look at it close up. Here we have the MS1 QDM attached to an AK pattern rifle, and in this view it kind of just looks like your standard carrying sling for a rifle. The word sling gets a little misused. In the modern context, slings prior to the 1980s more aptly should be called carrying strap. It's a way to throw the rifle over your shoulder while you had to do something else with your hands, or so your hands could swing freely while you're marching off to your next battle. In the modern day, the two-point sling does a lot more, and its ability to be adjusted quickly is a very important facet to it. This sling is designed to integrate with QD sockets that are built in or attached to your rifle. Here we have it going into an M-LOK style QD slot on the front of a Zukov handguard on an AK pattern rifle. A lot of QD type sling swivels will activate with a button on the back. In this case, that doesn't happen. What you have is on either side of the main attaching point, two little levers that you press together, and the sling comes out as such. And if you want to remount the sling, you just put it in the socket and press the two levers in. As you just saw, I fumbled a little bit. It's not a natural motion, and the push button QD swivel's a little easier to manipulate, sometimes too easy, and they come out. The MS1 sling is available with or without the sling swivels, so if you have a different brand of sling swivel you like to use, you can go ahead and use those. Just order the MS1 sling that doesn't have the swivels on it. Let's go over some of the other features of the sling. It's made of good, tough nylon. It's got 3 tri-glide buckles for adjustments and keeping the running ends of your sling under control. It also has this loop in it and this adjuster right here, and that's to adjust the length of your sling. And we're going to demonstrate why that's important a little bit later on. Those slide through a tri-glide down here, and at the back of the sling we have 2 more tri-glides for adjusting your overall length of the sling, and again for keeping the running tail under control and also locking it down a little better. The base adjustment of the sling should be that when you've come up on target, it gives you just a little bit of tension to help lock in the rifle on target. That's the base movement you go from. This device here can help you do several things. One, can help you tighten it down so when you move the rifle out of the way, you can do things with your hands and the rifle doesn't fumble or get in your way when you, like, say, bend over, or if you drop to transition, it will control it close and tight to your body. Another advantage of the adjustable two-point sling is when you have to switch shoulders. You loosen up the sling, pull forward, and now you can engage with the other shoulder, whereas you wouldn't have been before because the sling would have been too tight. You got to switch back, no problem. Now the sling's just a little looser, and you put your arm back through, you tighten it right back up, and go back to what you were doing. So this type of sling gives you more controllability with your firearm. One of the other advantages of an adjustable sling is when your gear or equipment changes for tactical or weather reasons. So if you've been out like this all day training on the range, you have one adjustment and you decide, hey, it's time to put the armor on and change with that. Well, your sling can be let out a little, and now the bulk of your armor, your rifle sling still works and it's not uncomfortable. Another thing is when the winter sets in, we have to wear a lot more clothing in the winter to keep ourselves warm and not go down as hypothermic cases, and that allows you to adjust it out even more as necessary. This slider right here is one of the advantages of the MS1 sling that I find has an advantage over some other slings like the Viking Tactics. Now, I'm a big fan of the Viking Tactics sling, and I do have it on most of my rifles. But I'm coming around to thinking this might be a little bit better, because the first thing is you don't have a running handle or a loose tail just flopping around. It keeps things a little more under control. The other thing is it's big and easy to grab, and you can just pull it out or pull it in. And that's pretty advantageous. Is it better than Viking Tactics? No, I think that's kind of a personal opinion, honestly. I'm starting to warm up to it, and I'll probably start using more of these MS1 slings on rifles over the Viking Tactics ones that I already have, but by no means do I have any intention of getting rid of my Viking Tactics sling. Now here's the part none of us like. This level of versatility comes with a price, and these slings I've found generally at different places running between $40 and $50. A simple carrying strap made of the same material, nylon 1-inch webbing, is going to be well under $20. At the gun show I saw a person selling simple AR-15 slings made of the same material with the same style buckles, calling them silent slings, for just $5. So you're paying a lot more, but you're getting a lot more. Is it worth it? Yeah, I think so. But that's just my opinion. Your results may vary. We hope you found this review of the MAGPUL MS1 QDM Sling helpful and informative. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for future gear reviews.